businesswoman Linda Plant, also known as the Queen of Mean.
Many of you will recognise from the Apprentice.
We were flying back from Florida. I saw you, and my wife said, "Oh my gosh, that's Linda Plant." But to be honest, I was a bit scared because I've seen you on The Apprentice.
It's a very simple idea.
I think it's a bit too simple, actually.
Well, I think you're the type of guy that feels you can write a lot of bullshit.
I mean, I looked at your website. Your flowers don't look that special to me.
Well, not everyone can be an entrepreneur, but I always say everyone can have a go. I started very, very young, working on my mother's market stall in Dewsbury Market. That was the first time I realised I like buying and selling.
What advice would you give then to somebody that's inspired by yourself, but they've got kids, they've got a job? What are the first sort of steps?
Well, I think, look.
Linda Plant, it's an honour to sit with you. You're an absolute inspiration to British business. And thanks for coming on the show.
And thanks for inviting me.
So, you're probably most well known for The Apprentice.
Yeah.
And you're ruthless on The Apprentice. And how we first met, we were flying back from Florida and we were there and I saw you and my wife said, "Oh my gosh, that's Linda Plant." And obviously we're fans of The Apprentice. And I wanted to pluck up the courage to ask you if you could maybe come to some of our events and get involved in the training that we do. But to be honest, I was a bit scared because I've seen you on The Apprentice and seen our social. So do you remember what happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
You came over to me at the very end of the flight.
Of course.
We landed, and you said, "I wanted to talk to you, but I was a bit scared." So I've sent you a message.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, why would you be scared?" And of course, now you know me a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm not that scary, really, am I?
No, so I did. I said to you, "I wanted to speak to you, but I didn't want to disturb you." I dropped your message on Instagram. See ya.
Yeah, you did. And I replied, and I said, "Well, you could have just come straight over and spoke to me." But
curiosity
anyway,
got the cat. You know what it is? I get like, I didn't want to bother you on the plane, and then if you were like, "Oh, leave me alone," and then we have like a 6-hour journey together.
Yeah, but I'm not like that. I'm really not like that. And when you know me outside of The Apprentice, which I won't say I'm a different character, but I have to put on different side. Yeah, you can see that I'm just a northern girl, and us northerners are quite warm, and friendly.
When did you get into business then? So what's your like backstory and how did your...
Well, obviously I started very, very young on a market stall. I think it's quite well known that I came from very humble beginnings. So my very first foray into any kind of business, working on my mother's market stall in Dewsbury Market. And that was when I was probably about, 10 or 11 years old. My parents were poor. My mother was a secretary. My father was a tailor. So she needed something to supplement the income and pay the rent. And she got a stall in Dewsbury Market. And I would go on a Saturday, and on school holidays go on a Wednesday and Saturday. And that was the first time I realised I like buying and selling. And that's really what I've done all my life, whether it's been stockings, handbags, clothes, houses, electronics, doesn't matter. It's the variation of a theme. I'm a trader.
I used to work on markets as well, It's just I think it's really good grounding.
When we floated Honeysuckle, and I was exposed to a lot of the city people, and they always said to me, "What do you think has been your grounding?" And I said, "Well, when you stand on a market stall, when you work on a market stall, it teaches you everything about trading." And trading it's just a variation of a theme.
You're also quite heavily into property. I know you've made quite a bit of money in property.
Yeah.
Are you investing now? What are you thinking about the market right now?
Well, I think with property, look, it's always about the art of the deal. It's like anything else. If you can buy it right and you know what you're buying it for, if you're going to do it up, what it's going to cost you to do it up, and what you can sell it for, it's always the right time. Sometimes are better than others. And, yes, I am. I'm actually just bought a school that I'm turning it. It was a single family house built in 1867. It became a school. The school went into receivership and we just bought it off the receiver, and I'm taking it back into a single family home. Having said that, we haven't done a deal for maybe 3 years because it just hasn't been the right deal. You've got to buy it right. If you buy it right, and location, everything else, a lot about property. It's always in the buying. So, I think it's when a deal comes up, if it's good, you go for it.
I think one of the things that you said last time when we met and you spoke to our Academy members is you talked about resilience.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important for any business. Talk to me a little bit about the importance of being resilient in business.
Well, look, nothing runs smooth. No journey runs smooth. You've got to be resilient and you've got to persevere. You know, you've got to have that resilience that if you get knocked down or if it doesn't go right or it's always problems need solutions. And if you lay down and die, you're not going to be successful. If you're resilient and you're tough, and if you get a problem, you have to find a solution. If something doesn't work, it doesn't mean to say, I'm not doing that ever again. This hasn't worked, learn from it. Yeah. Resilience, listen, you need resilience in whatever business you're in, don't you? You need resilience in life. I really feel that, but you
do you work all the time? Or are you... Did you used to?
Yeah, God.
Weekends?
Well, when I was in the fashion business and I built a fashion brand, I actually worked, I would say, 24 hours a day. Yeah. I made time for my children because I had a family while I was working. But obviously, the thrust of my business was in the Far East. So I would go away for 6 weeks at a time. Hong Kong, I had an office in Hong Kong, but base, I'd go all over Asia. But I think when you have a trading business like I had, which was a fashion business, unlike a property business, and when the bulk of your business is the factories and your manufacturing, your office is 8 hours ahead. You have to sort of be up. I always woke up at 5 a.m, so I could be talking to Hong Kong from midday. But, you know, I don't think business ever leaves you. It becomes part of your life. Yeah. You know, it becomes part of your life. And it has been like that for me. Certainly the fashion business and building a brand was, I would say it was like 24/7 because I couldn't go on holiday and not receive an email or not receive a telex in those days or not receive a fax. You can't do that. If you have to put good people in place if you're a leader. You can't do it without a team. You can't build a brand like I did without a team. But those people have to know they can take on so much, but there is someone there who will always be at the end of the phone or receiving that message to tell you this is where the buck stops. This is, you know. So yeah, and everything I do, I'm passionate about whatever I do, and I'm always fully focused. So even if today I don't work the same hours because I don't need to, because the property business I do, and I gave up my interior design business when the pandemic came, so I can work less. But when I'm on a project, I'm on it, and I never say to someone, "Don't call me after 6 because it's dinner time," or "Don't call me because I'm away." I just say, "I'm away, but I'm fully contactable." Yeah. You know, you've got a problem, you need to call me, call me. I've always been available.
You've seen a lot of businesses succeed and good things come out of The Apprentice. I've even known some of the guys personally that have done super well. We had Sean Gabidon, one of our academy events, and she's absolutely done incredible things. Yeah. You've also, we've seen you personally and Lord Sugar tear into people's business plans. What do you think some of the common mistakes, the common problems, the pitfalls that you see in people's business plans, in people's businesses?
Okay, well, first of all, you've got to have common sense, and sometimes these business plans totally lack common sense. I would say the single worst factor about a business plan is Alan likes to see a business that's maybe started rather than just an idea, because it's just an idea and there's no experience whatsoever in that idea. It's really hard to get to grips with it. But if you get a business that started, that's good. But the single biggest problem is a person will go and say they've got a nice little business and it might be making a few thousand a year or whatever, but always in year one, it's going to escalate 10 times. And you just wonder how you're going to do it. It's not possible. And I always say, walk before you run. And if you've got a business and it's doing good, make your projections. You can have big ideas, but make your projections realistic. Right. So I'll say the worst thing is unrealistic projections, just projections that, you know, you're not going to do that.
Without a plan, isn't it? Without any backing.
And even if there's and the other thing is, you know, you'll get someone who's got a business and they'll come out with these quotes and it'll be global. Well, I've got a franchise and the worldwide person that has done this, or Greg's have got this, but they've been going years and these are worldwide people. You're one restaurant that wants to start a franchise. Be realistic. Don't quote global figures because it's meaningless. You're not going to.
I guess the flip side to that is people could look at your story and say you came from very humble beginnings, working class girl, now you've gone on to make millions of pounds. That's unrealistic.
It's not though, because I've done it over a long period of time, and I went from a market store. I went from one market stall to 3 market stalls to shops to a wholesale. I didn't just, and obviously things have changed today because you get tech people who do make a lot. But even the tech businesses, a lot of them lost before they again. But my business didn't shoot up like that. It was a process.
Yeah.
It's
about increments, isn't it? Really,
it
saying,
was a process.
This year and then going, and then before you know it,
my story is starting off in one market stall, but it took a hell of a long time to get to 14 stalls, then a wholesale, then an importing, then a sellout. It was a process.
Yeah.
It didn't just go from one market stall to a big, I think I'll build a brand today and a big importing business. It took time and it took mistakes.
Yeah. What kind of property stuff then over the years? Are you generally buying commercial, residential?
No, we have been mostly residential.
Right.
And I think really the focus where we started was high-end residential in central London. And for I do have a property business in Leeds, which is a bit different, and that is serviced apartments.
Nice.
Right. But the thrust of my property business has been high-end residential in central London. And that's really what we've done. And really we've bought it, we've refurbed it, and we've sold it. But along the way, I have got a big site in Birmingham that is up for redevelopment. In the pandemic, bought a block of flats in Islington for investment. So we do diversify and have diversified, but generally speaking, we've done high-end residential. That's been.
Do you invest outside of property and business? Do you invest in anything else like crypto, gold, silver?
No,
honest
to God, I don't. I don't understand the first thing about crypto. I also have a belief that cash is king. You've got to have some cash as well. And I like to I find it's difficult enough to be good at what you know. I don't like to go into things I don't really understand.
It's interesting. That's what, when I had the opportunity to meet with Lord Sugar, and we were a group of 5 of us, that was his thing that he said. He said, only invest in what you know.
Exactly. And he also said something else which was quite relevant for Amstrad. It's never bad to be second.
Yeah. What does he mean by that, do you think?
Well, I think when he started Amstrad, he wasn't the first with the computers. He was the second, but that's really how he got on to making all his money. And he's gone back. He's got Amscreen now. He's gone back to some of that.
Yeah.
Stick to what you know. And if you're a trader, see, that's getting back to what we said originally. If you're a trader, whether you're trading sweaters or whether you're trading electronics or whether you're trading multi-million-pound homes, the principles are the same.
Yeah. What advice would you give then to somebody that's inspired by yourself? Maybe they watch The Apprentice, they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to start a business, but they've got kids, they've got a job. What are the first sort of steps? What?
Well, I think, first of all, not everyone can be an entrepreneur, but I always say everyone can have a go. But I think, the first thing you've got to do, if you have an idea and has your idea got legs, sometimes, especially in the pandemic, I gave a lot of talks about people that are really passionate about something. If you're a passionate photographer, how can you turn that into a business? But, I was in business when women were not at the forefront of business as they are today. And I was a mother of 2 at 21. But I still managed, and I say this to a lot of women that I speak to, I still managed to give my children the quality of love that they needed. Maybe not the quantity as other mothers were doing, because I wasn't picking my kids up from school. But I managed to give them the quality. But I think if you really feel strongly about something, you've got to have a go and you've got to make time for that. And don't be afraid, if you've got a job and you've got kids, and don't just think, oh my God, I can't do any of this because I've got all this. Make it happen. It comes down to being passionate about your idea, being passionate to want better than you've got, to feel that you've got more in you than you're doing at the moment, and to have that go.
When you spoke last time, you absolutely rocked the house down. That was a fun night, that one, wasn't it?
It was.
What was it that made you agree to come down? Why do you do these types of things?
I think the one thing that The Apprentice gave me was a voice. So, my journey has been an interesting journey because it's been a long journey, and because, as I said, when I started, women were not at the forefront of business, and when I started on a market stall and took a business to the stock market and went on to do various successful things in business, which nobody would ever know about. But going on The Apprentice gave me an identity and it gave me a voice. And I have found out, it's all trial and error, that people are inspired by a story like mine because my mantra is simple. Yes, you can. Not everybody's an entrepreneur, but everybody can have a go. And I don't have a single qualification, as I say, not a single education, not a GCSE, an O-level, don't have a single qualification, but you can still have a go and you can still do it. If you've got the mindset, the determination, the focus and the ambition and the motivation, those are the words that you need within you, then you can have a go.
Yeah.
And The Apprentice gave me recognition to be able to, for you to recognise me on the plane and come and say, will you talk to people? And I found out that I'm pretty good at inspiring people, not just women, but especially women.
Well, I was inspired. I think everybody was, and we had a great. Hence why we got you back.
Yeah.
And you came. So The Apprentice is coming back.
Yeah.
Very soon.
It's on. It's on tonight.
Is it on tonight?
Episode 2
So
of
this is the
series
20th
19.
20th season.
Coming up. Yeah,
That's
we're in the
absolutely crazy.
19th season. I know, it's amazing, really, and the ratings. People just love the show, and I think the longevity of the show is the fact that the audience is young. The captive of the audience is, I think, 17 to 40 or something like that. That's the group. And that's why I think it does have this longevity. It's young people, it's inspirational, it's good television, because television is always reality TV, it's always TV.
And it's great to encourage business, to have an actual proper business show,
well, it's a business show, it's entertaining, and Alan is very authentic. You know, you've got someone in Lord Sugar who's a really authentic character.
And he's fantastic at what he does.
Well, because he says it like it is, and because when you sit and have dinner with him, it's exactly the same as the way he is on the show. There's no... And, there's no difference. And I like to think, although obviously my persona on the show is different, a little bit different, because I am scrutinising a business plan for an investment. But I like to think that, I just like to think that I am a person, I'm a normal, ordinary person. I can speak to everybody, and if I can inspire people, that's great. But I don't feel, when you said to me you were afraid to come over to me, but I'm not like that at all, as you've probably found out. I'm very happy to speak to everybody, to make conversation with everybody, and I really...
And I think, just to be clear, it was more just that I didn't want to be disrespectful or a nuisance,
and I
rather
get that.
than... I'm a pretty courageous guy.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want to be...
Well, I get that. You're
You're
respectful.
on holiday.
I think you're respectful, and that's good.
You're on holiday.
Yeah.
You don't want to be getting necessarily stopped. I don't mind, but some people... I had one experience. There was a guy, I don't know if you've heard of a rapper called Machine Gun Kelly.
I think I have, actually.
Yeah, I met him in Miami.
Right.
Was it Miami? No, it was Barcelona.
Yeah.
And he was just at my hotel, sat next to the pool.
Yeah.
And I went over and asked him for a photo, because he's very famous.
Yeah.
I said, do you mind if I get a photo? And he went, I'm on holiday, mate.
Oh, my God. Yeah, well, you see, I have no time for people like that, because he is famous because people have made him famous.
Yeah, exactly.
And if people make you famous, or you put yourself in the spotlight, as you do, as I've done, as he does, then I think you have a right.
I agree.
You have a right to treat people in a decent way, always have time for people, and always be polite.
When did you first start getting noticed or stopped, or that straight away? Was it strange?
After the very first show I did, I had a full page in the Telegraph which said, "Who is Linda Plant, the Queen of Mean?" So that gets you pretty noticed, because episode 11, the interviews, is the biggest episode of each season. We get the most viewings. They love
That's
the
one,
best.
is it?
Well, it's
the business plan one,
yeah,
where you're in.
Yeah,
of
the
course.
interviews.
Of course, it's the best.
It's the best. It's the biggest. So, and it just amazes me, and never ceases to amaze me, how well known I am. Of course, now my horizons have broadened a lot, but it's all come from the show.
Yeah.
Because the show has such a wide reach. So it's great, because I can give back, and that is something that is really good. And I found, you find you can do things that you never thought you could do, you never knew you could do. But that's the power for me of always having a go, of always trying to say yes. Because the minute you say no, if, when Alan phoned me up and said, do you want to have a go? Television, oh my God, I've never done television. Can I do it? Can I scrutinise a business plan? I never looked at business. But if I'd have said no, that would have been the end. Have a go.
Yeah.
It might have been a flop. I wasn't,
No, it was, you've got to try things. You've got to try things. So you're based in London, right? But you've got a second house in Florida. Would you ever leave the UK or do you plan to stay?
No, I love the UK. I mean, Britain is my home. It's been, my mother's still alive. I love the UK, but it's exciting times in America now. And I like a lot of the things that are happening there. But I would never want to leave the UK permanently.
I guess Donald Trump, he was the founder of The Apprentice. And
he is. And make no mistake, because I went to Mar-a-Lago for lunch and I spoke to quite a few people there. The Apprentice gave him the platform.
Oh, yeah.
He would not be the president today or have been the president if The Apprentice gave him a platform.
Yeah.
But obviously he has. And here we've got a businessman who is the president, not a politician. And I think that's a very good thought about leading a country. And if you look at his team, there's not many politicians in his team. He has taken people who are the best at what they do, and that's a good lesson we could learn.
Well, we've got high hopes. We'll see how it pans out.
We'll see.
High hopes. What are you expecting tonight then? What was your experience at the last Academy dinner that you came to?
It was fabulous. It was fantastic. And, I'm hoping tonight will be the same. And I love, as you saw, we had hundreds of people queuing up to speak to me and to have a photograph. But I love that. I really love that because I think The Apprentice gave me a voice and I can share who I am now and I can share my tips. And I like everyone who wants to meet me, I have got time for. I've got time for everyone. And if I can give some good advice or a bit of guidance, I'm happy to do that. So for me, it's very exciting. I get just as excited to see the people, speak to them, tell them my story, answer their questions as they do to see me.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you. It's been great getting to know you as well over the last year.
Yep.
And let's go and have a great dinner, shall we?
Very excited.
Thank you, Linda
Thanks,
Plants.
Daniel.